I am Sri Mahita from Group 1, a solo group, and my project is Cryptic Quest. So, Cryptic Quest is an interactive mystery game where the players take on the role of detectives solving criminal cases. So, the platform features multiple difficulty levels from beginner theft cases to expert level mysteries. So, what makes this a graduate level project are three key features. First one is progress persistence. This automatically saves and restores the investigation state from where the user left off in the last login. And the second one is an advanced evidence cross-referencing system that lets players visually connect different evidences that they find in the case. And third one is a scoring algorithm. This basically considers time spent on the case and the number of hints used to decay the score. So the current implementation includes 8 different hard-coded cases across theft, murder, financial fraud, and conspiracy categories. But the future vision expands this with multiplayer collaboration where multiple detectives can work together on solving complex cases. And also, there would be machine learning powered case generation for unlimited content, and the hint systems would be AI driven that adapt to players' skill level. So this project serves as a foundation for the full vision to be built upon later. Okay, so the platform consists of 9 main pages creating complete investigation workflow. So the users start with authentication, access their detective dashboard, and browse and select cases in cases.php. And they can conduct investigations using our evidence cross-reference panels, and they can analyze the findings in their evidence lab, and they can submit the solutions, they can review their results, and they can look at their performance in the leaderboard and also on their personal profile. So the system architecture follows 3 main managers handling user application, case logic, and scoring. So the case manager controls the investigation flow. The user manager handles authentication and profile management, and the score manager implements our complex scoring algorithms and leaderboard updates. All the data persists through JSON files that are in the data folder, while PHP sessions maintain active investigation state across the page transitions. So PHP implementation demonstrates advanced concepts, including session management for maintaining the investigation state, as I was saying in the last slide. And we also have sophisticated I/O operations, file I/O operations, as I was talking about earlier. These JSON files serve as persistent data storage for us, almost like a database with atomic writes. And data abstraction is achieved through helper functions, and object-oriented principles with encapsulated functionality is also implemented. Comprehensive error handling was taken care of, and security best practices are achieved through input sanitization. So these concepts work together to create a reliable and secure web application. Okay, so it's demo time. I am going to first log in as an existing user. That is this. So recent investigations show the investigations that we've already worked on. And this is the total points, number of cases solved. And can go to my profile. And these are the statistics. And then we have the cases where you can see the whole catalog. You can see that I've already solved these 3 cases. That is why it shows review case. So this just gives me all of the evidence that I've collected, the case that I've built, any nodes that I have. And back to the cases. We also have a filters option where I can, okay, there are no cases in that category. Okay, so that shows up cases based on the filters. And there is leaderboard, which shows your personal ranking, and you can sort the rankings by this order. And that's all. Now I'm going to log out and log in as a fresh user. Okay, so once we browse the cases, let's pick a case to begin investigation. So this is the title of the case. I can choose to abandon the case, which takes me back to the catalog, or I can, oh yeah, so if I go to home, you can see that a case is in progress and I've spent 11 seconds on it and I've collected no evidence. So continue investigation. So this gives us an overview on what the case is about. Here it is a tech company that is under investigation for insider trading. So apparently the stock prices of this company mysteriously jumped just before it went to IPO. And three executives are suspects here. One is CEO, one is CFO, and one is head of M&A. So once I click on evidence list, it opens up here. I'm doing that using PHP. So here you can see that case equal to the case ID. That is the URL right now. But once I click on a particular evidence, what happens is that evidence gets appended as a variable here. So that's how we are showing the evidence in evidence display. Now I can choose to collect the evidence or discard the evidence. So first one that I've collected is trading records that show that large purchases of Teknova stock were made through an offshore account. And this is the name of the account, which is very close to the CEO's name. And email communications, this is the second evidence that we are seeing. That is, an email was sent from Martin Clark to his brother-in-law saying that he should invest in tech stocks, especially the ones focused on AI, apparently. So, okay, I will collect that evidence as well. Then there is financial pressure. That is the third evidence that we're looking at. Apparently, CEO took out a $2 million mortgage, and yeah, there is some, okay, I can put that in my notes, 2 million in mortgage. Ro needs money. And I'm just gonna save that as my notes. I can log out and I can log in again. I forgot the password. Okay, and my progress has persisted. There is no save button or anything. Every action that I do on this PHP page is followed by a save call that saves all of my progress. Now, I can choose to add these evidence nodes onto my cross-reference panel, and I can connect all of these together. So I can say that financial pressure, that is a connection that I made. So I am saying that him being in financial pressure led to him buying lots of shares of Teknova using his offshore account. And then I'm saying him being in financial pressure led to him sending an email to his brother-in-law to invest in some stocks. So now that I have my two connections and my investigation notes, I can just go ahead and submit my solution. Now, submit solution only activates if you have gone through more than 50% of the evidence. So I am listing him as my primary suspect, and that was his motive according to me. And this was the notes that I took, and these were the evidences that I collected, and this was the uh, board that I created. Now submit solution. 750 out of 800. So the score changes based on the amount of time that you spent on a case. Yep, that's all. Now I can go to the leaderboard, and I am number 2 on the leaderboard because I have 750 points, just after Detective Kola. He solved, or she solved, 3 cases, out of which 2 are correct. Now, if I sort by accuracy rate, I'm still number 1 because, yeah, I have 100% accuracy. And, yep, you can go to profile, see your total scores and the cases that you've solved. Then you can go back to your home page, see that your case was solved. You can go back to cases. You can pick another case to solve, or you can just review the one that you have already solved. So that is what my project is about, more or less. Now we will go into the slides and see how the features are implemented. Okay, so now we'll look at transformations, transitions, and animations. So first, we'll look at the hover transforms. If you go to the cases, you can see that whenever I hover on a case, the card moves up along y-axis. So for that, we have used transform. So it transforms along y-axis 2 pixels, and the box, and we have also enabled box shadow to give us that shadowy effect, right? And the second one is CSS accordions. So when you are actually solving a case, continue investigation. When you're actually solving a case, you see this case metadata, this particular triangle. It rotates when I open or close the accordion. And also, once I click on this case metadata, it expands. And once it expands, you see that there's a grid layout and items placed in 2 columns and 3 rows. So for that, we need to go to page investigate. Okay, so this is the styling for accordion. And expand icon, yeah. So expand icon, when I click on this, and metadata toggle, if once that is checked, what happens is it rotates along along 180 degrees. So that's what gives it that animation. And metadata content, this, and metadata grid and item. These dictate how the items look inside the metadata accordion. So for example, here in the grid, you can see that columns we have only 2, and the gap between them is 0.5, and padding is 1, and that's what you see here. You can see that the gap is very low compared to the padding. Okay, and progress animations. Um, okay, so for example, when you go to profile, you see that there are progress bars. But when you are making progress, let's say in the case, or let's say you get promoted to junior detective, these progress bars fill up. So for that, there is some styling. Um, yeah, So the transition we are doing with 0.3 seconds ease, and we are doing that with a linear gradient. This is almost sea green cyan color uh, that gives us this terminal-esque aesthetic. And I've also implemented a responsive layout. For example, if I resize this browser, you can see that this nav bar collapses into a hamburger menu. Uh, okay, yeah. So after it crosses like 768 pixels, um, it collapses into a mobile menu toggle, which gives us the uh, hamburger lines. So that's how we are styling it. And you can also see that I have implemented these container sizes. So small is 640, medium is 768, and from 768 to 2560, I am assuming that as a desktop, and anything below that is like a mobile device. So whenever a screen size is less than 768, mobile menu toggle that gets activated. About the key features, so they are evidence cross-reference systems, and of course the terminal aesthetic interface, and scoring algorithm, and progress persistence, and dynamic leaderboard system. So first, if we talk about the evidence cross-reference system, um, it is this panel. So you can add the evidences and link them to each other as I've shown previously in the demo. So how that is achieved is back in the CSS, in the front end, we have this evidence node, which represents each of these boxes. So they are positioned absolute with fixed CSS positioning. And in the back end, the system, in the PHP, the system stores the selected evidence in the PHP session arrays. Here you can see that for cross-case analysis. So the backend tracks evidence relationships through the session data, enabling complex case analysis like without requiring any JavaScript. So to achieve terminal style aesthetic, we used CSS variables in the root. This along with neon green text and the font family of Courier New, these combined with shadow glow boxes gave us this terminal style aesthetic. And now we'll talk about the scoring algorithm. For this, we use this calculate advanced score function. So that implements a multi-factor algorithm. So the function starts with a max score. So that would be around 750 for advanced cases, 350 for beginner cases, and so on. Now, on top of that, we have time decay and hint penalties. So for every hint that we unlock, it cuts 10% in the total max score. And for every minute over the target time for beginner cases would be around 25 minutes. So on a beginner case, if a user spends more than 25 minutes, for every minute over that, they lose 2% of the max score. So we deduct these decays on the total score that is achievable, that is max score. And also we have some speed bonus if it is completed in less than 25% of the time that is specified for that particular case. So less than 25% of 25 minutes for a beginner case. So if a user completes or solves the case below that time, they would get 50 points bonus. So all of these would be added up, and the final score uses min-max functions to cap between 0 and max score, because you can't have more than 100% of the score that you can get, right? So once that min-max is performed, the score is returned. Then we'll talk about progress persistence. So for this, we used save case progress to file function. This implements atomic file operations using PHP's write JSON file function. So that can be noticed here. This function creates progress directories, manages user-specific JSON files, and ensures data integrity. So from here to here, you can see that the data structure includes case progress with evidence collected arrays and cross-reference data and timestamp using this time function. Now we have dynamic leaderboards as well. For that, we used update leaderboard function. So this maintains our dynamic ranking system. So the function processes user data to compute statistics, including accuracy rates and total scores. Um, so if you see these particular lines, um, the system uses usort with custom comparison to rank users by total score, uh, calculating accuracy as solved cases by total cases. So into 100 just gives you the percentage. So accuracy rate will be in percentage. It was just one person in the team. I have tracked my own progress in just Excel sheets. I did not use any Jira board specifically, but I have divided the task of finishing up this project into several phases. So the first phase was authentication module and homepage, and I took about 3 days to do that. And July 6th and 7th, I worked on developing the cases.php and investigate.php, which is investigate.php is this particular page, and cases.php shows the list of catalog of cases that are available. So I worked on that July 6th and 7th. July 8th and 9th, I worked on actually submitting the evidences, and I worked on that cross evidence referring engine, this one. And July 10th and 11th, I worked on the leaderboard, and I worked on trying to create a responsive design just using CSS and no JavaScript. And July 12th and 13th, I was deploying the project on to the server, and I was preparing the demo. So that's all. Thanks.